Hey everybody, and welcome back. Adam here, and we're back with a little more legacy action. So I sat here and I said to myself, we did so well with this last time. We might as well do it again. So sure enough, we're back with a little more blue-black Omni-Tell. For those who missed it last time around, this is a show and tell for Omniscience combo deck, putting in Emrakul the Aeon's Torn and Griseldad. You play black to play discard spells and Profane Tutor. This is a demonic tutor on suspend. 1 in a black, suspend 2. Once it resolves, demonic tutor. Now, where this gets cute is that the interaction between Profane Tutor and Omniscience is such that you can cast Profane Tutor off of Omniscience for free to go ahead and tutor up whatever you need. Whether it be some sort of combo piece, whether it be one of the idiots, whatever you're looking for, Profane Tutor will get you there. So, that's pretty much the deck. Sideboard is a few options that let us kind of hate on other decks, beat out some generic hate against us, Hurkyl's Recall against the Kappa decks, but overall it's a pretty straightforward process. And so without any further ado, let's go ahead and get into this lead. I appreciate everyone joining for a midday stream. I was having some connectivity issues this morning, which, given that I work from home now, meant that I was unable to work this morning. And I said, well, we could sit around and wait for Spectrum to get it fixed, or I could take the day off and come hang out with everybody. So here I am. Hopefully we'll have a good time like we did last time and go ahead and score us a 5-0. You show up anywhere in here? See our name on that leaderboard. We're way down. Yikes. Alright. Go ahead and play our first match here. And we won the die roll. Let's go. This is probably fine. We're gonna keep. This is, like, not the best land to have in our opener, but if our opponent is, like, 8 mulch or some such garbage that's, like, able to wasteland us in the dirt, I'm happy to have it. Again, I appreciate everybody joining today. Plenty of ways you could choose to spend your Tuesday afternoon, but I'm grateful that you're here with me. Mulligans to 6, mulligans to 5. I feel like opponents probably combo if they're mulling that deep. We're going to put both of these on top. This brainstorm is actually kind of great. Yeah, that's whatever. Saga resolves. Or rather, Saga Trigger resolves, I suppose. That's just not a card we care about. This leads me to believe that the opponent is probably, like, 8 cast. If you mulligan that aggressively and then lead off with turn 1 Urza Saga. Oh, opponent is just lands. Sick. So, Omni works really well with a lot of garbage. The reason Profane is so good is because it's something that's actually, like, reasonable to set up. So being Omni-Tell instead of, like, Sneak and Show, you tend to have the ability... I'm gonna brainstorm here. Opponent? You tend to have the ability to, like, be a little more patient. I'm gonna put this back and this back. Then I will choose to fetch. Because you are a little more of a control deck, alright. We're finding the things we want to find. We're looking for exactly the card show and tell at this point. And that's not a real clock. So the reason the Profane is good is because it's a card that you can reasonably, like, feasibly set up, being a little more safe as a combo deck, and also it's a card that's free off Omniscience and lets you find exactly the thing you're missing with no conditions. Just that it needs to be in your deck, which is perfectly fine. If I were opponent, I would be putting us on Doomsday at this point. Wild. Okay. We're gonna take 4. That's fine. I want all of it. I guess. This rate. This. No. Gonna fetch. We put in Omni, we put in Griseldad, we draw 7 cards. Once this Omni is in play, we're basically unstoppable. Russell, hello, welcome. Thank you for stopping by the stream. Cast with Omni. Get Emrakul. Deal. Okay. So things that would beat us would include their long-term grinds. Potentially. I think Flusterstorm is of lesser value. Duress is of lesser value. Truth be told, I think the Borrower is the best card we can have here. All is good, Russell. Thank you. I've been very well. I've been quite happy with the life I've been leading recently. I hope all is well with you also. This is a little more questionable, but, like, I'm gonna keep it. This is a hand that's, like, not very good if opponent... Russell, thank you. I appreciate it. This is a hand that gets significantly worse if opponent, like, has a turn 1 sphere or something, which is reasonable. Which is, like, a thing they could feasibly have. I guess this is where we do the shameless shill. Much like Russell here, if you have Amazon Prime, you also have Twitch Prime. And should you not be using your Twitch Prime sub elsewhere, please feel free to point it my way. Your Bezos bucks are appreciated, and it goes a long way to help the stream. Wow. That's hilarious. I'm at 8 cards. I guess we fetch here? Okay. Put back double tutor. So currently, for those of you who missed it previously, I have left Team Swish. There is no bad blood. Don't make this a drama thing. This was just a matter of needing something different than what the team had offered to me. And as such, I decided to part ways. So currently, looking at kind of building things out of my own accord. Put these both like this. So currently looking at kind of building things out myself. Wasteland, port me, got it. Resolves. Okay. That on top. At this point, the first tutor may just go get us a land, if I'm being honest. That doesn't matter. I'm gonna go ahead. Could just grab basic swamp here. It's like the card I least want to draw. Can jam this with pretty reckless abandon. Not gonna lie. This is where they blast me. Sure, resolves. Like, having the extra show and tells here, I'm pretty safe. An opponent has shown me that, based on the way that they've played at this point, yikes. This sucks. I mean, Needle resolves. That's not a card we care about at this point. This is the card that matters. Needle's Tarn, sure. That's one of the things we're looking for. I'm discarding Emrakul because I want to shuffle my graveyard. At this point, Lotus Petal is actually one of the best cards we can draw. Opponent's now changing their Rishadan tendencies. Gonna play Underground Sea here. Bounce this, make them show me the blast that they're repping. Which they don't have. Okay. We have once again acquired an Emrakul. This choke is pretty savage with them having double Wasteland, double port. That sucks. That's a clock. I have concerns. Okay. They found their wasteland, their damage machine. It's weird to me that opponent is doing all of this right here, right now, like this. Opponent's deciding when is correct to port. It will float. Now's where I have to really start thinking about the way I discard cards. I think the first one is Spell Pierce. Right now I'm in a position where I really want multiple Lotus Petals. And so the card I think I'm looking for more than anything is Brainstorm. That's spooky for sure. Draw over the Burn Willows, yes. I'm going to play a couple more turns of this. I do think that we're pretty dead. There aren't that many of these in our deck. Okay. Now what? Maybe we just pack it in and go to the next game. Do we change anything knowing that opponent has Choke, Needle? Like, we could talk about Hurkyl's Recall for Needles and such. I don't think it's particularly good. I think Thoughtseize is going to deal with most of it. I think we have Force of Will. Maybe Spell Pierce is worse than Duress. I kept Spell Pierce because it's blue. Maybe that's wrong. Keep. This is such garbage. Yavimaya. That doesn't make red. That makes red. Sure. I'm just gonna jam. If this resolves, I win. Okay. This is where I have to live slightly afraid of opponent having surgical extraction. Yeah, that... Yep. Sure thing. That happens. I'm not happy about it, but it happens. This is Brainstorm. Yes. Shadow Spear is fine. I will once again cast the card Show and Tell. Put in Omniscience. Cast with Omniscience. Grab Emrakul. Thoughtseize you. Okay. Friend, I don't think that works the way you want it to. Sure, whatever. Yeah. Nope, I ended up with the day off due to, Comcast messing up my internet this morning. Hello, opponent. You did that incorrectly. Extra turn. Hey, let's go. Alright. Round 1 in the books. Oh. Yeah, Greg, I ended up with the day off because I got up this morning, started getting everything around, and my internet went down. And Comcast was like, we'll fix it eventually. And I went, cool, well, I work from home. Greg, if I was going to play any other combo package in this deck, it would be Reanimator. Like, pretty easy. If I was going to play any other combo package in the deck, it would be Reanimator. It's not close. This doesn't have blue mana. Gonna keep. Keeping the second Show and Tell as a pitch card to Force of Will, just in case. It's not the life I want to live, but it's a life I will live if I have to. But yeah, if I was going to play another combo package in here, it's Reanimator. I've already thought about it, like... Deal? I've already thought about it kind of at length. In fact, I almost made those tweaks before I started playing today. But I thought to myself instead, well, I'll just hold off. I will play the list again as it is today to see if I still feel the same way after additional play. Speaking of Reanimator. Yeah, so the thing is that I think in order to do that, the payoffs you, like, the reanimation spells you play, you have to think very carefully about. Because... No, I would not. I would play Careful Study. Is the answer to your question. I would cut Preordain for Careful Study. Ah, I see. Opponent's hand is bad. I love it. Correct. Like, yeah, I would just splash in old blue-black reanimator cards. Heal the Profane Tutor. Bottom. Top. Play this. Goodbye, Omni. Yikes. With this Omni in play, I like the long game favors us, and opponent's hand doesn't do anything. We can tell because of what's in opponent's graveyard. I don't care about that. Everything I need is in play. Promise you. Cast with Omni. Bottom. Bottom. Big yikes. We continue playing our lands here because they could potentially matter if opponent does have some way to answer this Omni. Until I have the cantrip, I'll wait. No. I will not let you have a clock. Cast with Omni. Cast Omni with Omni. Yeah, definitely the if I were to slot another combo deck into this, it would be Reanimator. I don't know that it's actually correct. I think that the ability this has to just like play a grindy nonsense. Okay, Grief resolves. That doesn't particularly do anything. Yikes. This could actually be relevant, surprisingly enough. Opponent has not made many land drops. I have chosen to Spell Pierce. Okay. Oh, and they have the Reanimate. That's so gross. This doesn't actually matter if I hit Emrakul, though. Like, not a single ounce of this matters if I hit Emrakul. Okay. We have one more draw step. We're so good at this game. Let's go. Alright. Hello, Leyline of the Void. Boarding in Leyline of the Void. I think I will cut Thought Seizes and the Duress. Maybe I'll keep Duress. No. We can readjust this afterwards, but I think that Flusterstorm is a card that's like pretty medium value. Yeah, Greg, this deck is insane. I think you missed the last one, but this was the list that I 5-0'd with last week. This deck feels very, very good. Shout out to MTGO user Neville Shoot, who 5-0'd with this list, because this feels absurd. The biggest thing I want to adjust is... Yes. The biggest thing I want to adjust is the sideboard. There's some sideboard cards I'm not sure about. Cute. Leyline. Resolves. Yeah, I'm not really familiar with the player, if I'm being perfectly honest. Bottom, top, there's the show and tell. Pedal, yes. All right. This is Petal, Misty, Emrakul, no shuffle. I want the third land because it casts Show and Tell. I will ponder here. We're looking for Omni specifically. Ponder. No. Sure. Show and Tell. Omni. Emrakul? Baby, let's go! That's fair. Yeah, I wasn't super familiar with that username, and I just saw it in the 5.0 deck dumps, and again, I've been kind of championing on Twitter for a while now that I think that Show and Tell is one of the best cards you can be casting in Legacy at the present. I got into a conversation with a couple of very good Magic players about it, and one debated that the primary sneak and show player of the format, Jonathan Angulescu, also known as JPA 93, JPA had made a comment after his last 5-0 that, like, while the deck was fine, he wasn't super happy with it. And one of the other Moto grinders wanted to debate it with me. This is close. And I was like, look, you can have your own views. I think that the card show and tell is exceptionally powerful right now. And so, the conversation kind of ended, and not like the next week, JPA 5-0'd with it again, and then multiple other players 5-0'd with Sneak and Show, and this was about the time I was championing it just after February Mana Trader series. I'm going to cast this Profane Tutor here to get the card Show and Tell. The only thing that changes that is if I draw the card Show and Tell sub after this point. Now, so we had this conversation about it. And then opponent decided that, like, they just weren't living that life, like, the other player decided, like, that it just wasn't for them, and like I said, so JPA 5-0s with it again the next week. So, after JPA 5-0s with it... Okay. After JPA 5-0s with it, several other players start to 5-0 as well. This one resolve? Nope. Shit. Cool. So opponent is some sort of painter deck. That being the case, Leyline is very good. Borrower also good. Flusterstorm less good? I think I want Leylines and Borrowers. Hercules is a conversation. Actually, Energy Flux probably better than Borrower. It does feel like I'm goldfishing. That's kind of the beauty that, like, that's why I love Omni-Tell as a strategy. It's why when I played the quote-unquote sneak-in show for Mana Traders, I was on an Omniscience Cunning Wish build. I honestly think that casting Show and Tell to put in Omniscience is one of the best things you can be doing in the format right now. In a world full of Murktide Regent and Uro and other subsequent garbage, I think that this is slow. Yikes. Yikes. I just think it's one of the best things you can be doing, because Murktide and Uro... Murktide and Uro don't care. Like, them being put in off Omniscience just doesn't do anything. We expected this. That's unfortunate. I'm sitting here debating to myself whether or not I try to profane tutor to go get the Omni now. I think I will. It's like debatable. No. Runcore, not particularly. I think that, like, Boseiju taking out your stuff is big. And so I was discussing previously, also welcome, Runcore. So I was discussing previously how when I played this list last week, I wanted to make some changes, and I didn't today. I wanted to play it through some more as is before I went ahead and did the thing. So one of the big things... Am I just gonna get comboed here? That would be truly unfortunate. So one of the big things I wanted is I want some kind of stifle effect in the yard, or in the sideboard. Just so that I don't straight up lose if it's like, okay, this is the last ditch cast show, or put in Omni, do the thing, and then, like, opponent has Boseiju. So in regards to Boseiju specifically, the problem with it is that... Deal. Your opponent doesn't have priority when they need to. This doesn't matter. So your opponent doesn't get priority when it matters. So you cast Show and Tell. Fair. So you cast Show and Tell. And you go ahead and put in Omniscience. To put a Vizius. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's fair. So with the Boseiju thing, so yeah, you're triggering priority there. Okay. The likelihood I win this is low. It's true, and that's why I've started putting in... Like, I will put an Omniscience into play off of an Omniscience. Like, and I don't think that that's something people take, like, seriously enough. Like, second Omniscience being in play is huge. Like, it is just very, very, very good. And I don't think people respect it enough. So, often if I find a second Omni, or a second Omni, when I already have one in play, I will cast the second Omni. Oof. Opponent just typed in chat, "Ah, shit, I clicked too fast." This all happens. Put an island into place, they go. Alright. So there's 3-0. Correct. So the answer, yes. So we only have show and tell. Period. Full stop. Like, our deck is required to cast show and tell. I did lose a game last week when I first played this list because opponent countered a show and tell and then surgicaled it. And it wasn't something that was consciously on my radar at the time because I expected opponent to play differently. Greg, the answer is I cast show and tell, put in Omniscience, cast Profane Tutor, and got Emrakul. So I guess we had the Omni in play. We cast Profane Tutor, got Emrakul, put in Emrakul, and opponent conceded. Because they were dead. We had Force of Will in hand. Indeed. So, Runcor, Stoneblade for Life was mentioning earlier. So, Stoneblade for Life was mentioning earlier that... yeah, Greg, we drew for turn. And our draw was Profane Tutor. Or no, our draw was Preordain, and Preordain found us Profane Tutor. And Profane Tutor found us Emrakul, and Emrakul killed them. Or would have killed them. So, Runcor, we were mentioning earlier that this deck feels a lot like gold fishing. Because the reality is that you, with Omni-Tell instead of traditional like sneak and show that wants to turbo your opponent, Omni-Tell is very comfortable taking its time. Because when Omni-Tell does its thing, you win. Full stop. You just win. And there's a lot of ways that like you can engineer that to be the case. So, like, for example, this is fine. We're looking for show and tell Omni. Delver resolves. The other funny thing is that because Omni-Tell is a base blue deck, you can play a lot better around this kind of nonsense. And your opponents will think differently of what you actually are. Okay. So, let's see. No. Truth be told here, I could just cast show and tell next turn. And I think opponent loses the game. I don't think they can beat a naked Emrakul. Like, that's the reality. I might just do that. Especially now that they don't have access to... I think I will be patient here. I know that the next card down is a land. It's true. Like, here I am gonna sit here, exactly, like, here I'm gonna sit here against Delver, and, like, opponent's gonna think we're some sort of dirtily control deck or something the majority of the time. And then I'm gonna untap and cast Show and Tell with, like, double force backup. And opponent's gonna cry. And, like, that's just the nature of it. Like, that's how this works. And that's what I love so much about this deck. Dece. Very dece. I mean, yes. We have the ability to do these things, but also the longer we give them, the better their bolts and stuff are, which is a thing that we have to consider. Our life total is, like, the greatest resource in this matchup. If I'm being perfectly honest here, all I want to draw is extra blue cards. Like, this is the one card so far that has let the cat out of the bag. An opponent needs to know what's up. Ponder's fine. Greg, yeah, like, Doomsday in this deck doesn't really shape up. Even though you, like, have the Shellbach Emrakul thing all built in and whatever. So, like, opponent is just gonna clock us. In this deck, we kind of just want to take our time, be patient. This resolves. We're letting this happen. I'm gonna be patient here. Yeah, inevitability is absolutely the word. Go to 6. I'm gonna let this happen. EI doesn't matter. This is so good. Our tutor comes off this turn and we win the game. They can't. That was kind of the beauty of the whole thing. I don't need that. That's so much better. Oh, shit. Yikes. Targeted my show and tell there instead of their force of will. Yep, should have thought about that one a little more clearly. Okay. So with Delver, I like Defense Grid. I like Thoughtseize less. I like Flusterstorm. I could force my Pierce, but in that circumstance, their force still resolves, which is the problem. That's what I was trying to pierce. And we were dead. So I needed to put in that Emrakul. Yeah. Yeah, yikes indeed. I made a very big error and clicked incorrectly, which is, of course, the true Magic Online bug. Things you would never do in paper for 1,000. Deal. You don't say. Ponder's fine. Wow, opponent has mulliganed aggressively. If opponent doesn't wasteland, we're in such good shape here. This lets us play around days. Opponent has kept a purely reactive hand. So it's been Profane Tutor to get another show and tell. So we don't fight because our only pitch card is Omni. And while we play around Daze, we don't play around a Force effect. An opponent has so many cards in hand that I would prefer just to hold off. Especially given that the card Defense Grid exists in our deck. You play Defense Grid in your sideboard because Delver has such a hard time fighting through a grid. They're trying to keep so mana efficient. This doesn't matter. Also, because opponent could have things like Flusterstorm, we want opponent to be able to fight us in the fewest ways possible. So, like, we know opponent's hand is reactive, right? They keep not playing stuff. Yeah, no pressure from them is great, but it also means that their hand is primarily reactive. So we need to play accordingly. We're the better deck overall. Our card quality is just infinitely higher. Like, if this is in play, they can't beat it. They just die. So we just need to secure ourselves a position where we can make that happen. So playing these out is important because if opponent keeps holding up a single mana, which to me screams Fluster, this was the kind of situation I was afraid of. Show me the Fluster I think you've got. Red Blast. So this is where life gets hard. We can still win. It is just incredibly difficult. We're now on literally hard cast Omniscience. Yeah, that's unfortunate. That Delver existing here is so bad. Because we need basically infinite turns. We do not run Mystic Sanctuary. In mono blue, you would. Simply because you have the flex slots in your lands. The minute you start splashing colors, it gets harder to do that. Because one of the beauties of Omni-Tell is the mana stability. Right, to fetch to... Like, it's possible. Yikes, that's so bad. I mean, realistically, your game plan against Surgical is to just not let it resolve. Our opponent just had so many different things. Yikes. This is a Murktide Regent. We're dead in 2 turns. Yikes. Well, we tried. Yeah, that misclick just cost us that match. If I had fought that fight correctly, we probably just show in Naked Emrakul there, and opponent loses. At which point, we get a game 3. And I think that in game 3 we win. So, to kind of go over the whole ideology there, Runcor, right now Delver has so much cheap interaction that you have, like, your threats are better than theirs. As a show and tell deck, your threats are better than theirs by miles. You just need to stick them. And the problem is that in order to stick your threats, you're paying a bare minimum 3 mana for the card Show and Tell. So you need to be able to defend that card Show and Tell. So, again, Defense Grid is one of the best ways to do that. And previously I had even boarded in Beseiju, because Beseiju then also taxes their Wastelands. So then they're looking to fight 2 avenues at once. They're looking for Wasteland. Yes. Yes. I will keep. I'm trying to decide if I'm thought seizing here or... That's unfortunate. Goodbye, Show and Tell. Yeah, that one was pretty straightforward. Easy money. Goodbye, Witherbloom. This Fatal Push doesn't have text. It just doesn't do anything. And in this position, opponent can be a Wasteland deck. This bug deck sometimes will play Wasteland. It's not a card I'm scared of at this moment, because opponent's hand doesn't do anything, and if they're wastelanding me, they're not developing. And this is mostly a race. I feel much better if opponent casts this Ponder. And they do. So good. So by opponent casting this Ponder, that means they have taken down their ability to Force of Will this turn. There goes Verdant Catacombs. Resolves. That's fine. So I don't know one card in their hand. We can just cripple each other here for a hot minute. That's fine. That doesn't matter at all. Okay. So the last card in their hand is Fatal Push. Sure. What are we fetching for? Oh, Dryad Arbor. Sure, sure, sure. Resolves. That, I don't think that that's good for you, but okay. I'm gonna guess Zenith midrange. This is like some sort of bug midrange deck with package for Witherbloom in it. Sure. I just want to pull cards out of my deck. Gross. One, two, three, four, five, six. 19. Including fetches, not counting petals. We can cast Omniscience. Or Griseldad, or whatever. That's Witherbloom, sure. Yikes. Okay, so cards that we want involve Flusterstorm, Brazen Borrower, maybe I want Thoughtseize and Duress on... I think I want Thoughtseize and Duress on the play, but not on the draw. I think that's the answer to my question. Correct. Yeah, it's Smog combo into Bug. Yeah. Yep. Nope. The borrowers are all on the sideboard, and it's about what I would cut for them, and I don't think that I have good cuts for them. I'm gonna keep this. I think I want to ship Force of Will. I'm gonna Thoughtseize them here. They just have the full combo. That's atrocious. I mean, I get what you're saying. Oh, and they fetch so they can't cast any of their spells. That's so good for me. Preordain. Yeah, this is, well, yeah, opponent definitely made choices, that's for sure. I think we beat this. It's very good. Ponder's fine. Leo is cast... Yeah, that's why we have the Force of Will up. I'm trying to debate whether or not I try to go now. If I try to go now, I know they can't beat it. I know all 5 cards in their hand. No, I guess I don't. I didn't consciously think about the fact they still have Veil of Summer. They named Show and Tell. Sure. They did not hit Show and Tell. They have another Coatl. Looking for Show and Tell. Not Show and Tell. Yikes. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven. I'm not going to force here. I know they still have Veil of Summer. It took force. Green Suns for 2. Oh, they just have the combo here. Big yikes. Big yikes. Well played, opponent. They navigated that very well. Alright, well there's a 3 and 2. So, going back to what I was saying previously, one of the big things that I want in this sideboard is some kind of stifle effect. Less in regards to... I guess Boseiju is fine and all. Like, Boseiju is a card that matters some of the time. Yes, they can Boseiju your Emrakul, blah, 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 blah. Most of the time, if we Omni and an Emrakul get an extra turn, we can figure something out. Just having access to the effect for when it matters, I think, is huge. Something else I've thought a lot about is, right now, if opponent is able to deal with the card Show and Tell and remove it from the equation, we just lose the game. We can cast Omniscience, and sometimes opponents will engineer us a position where that's a viable strategy. It's very uncommon. So I think that I would like another option. And I don't know that we need a plan B, but it would be nice. And the big one I'm thinking of is Arcane Artisan. Historically, Show and Tell decks have used Arcane Artisan in situations where casting Show and Tell for a creature is bad, but I think in this circumstance it can just serve as extra copies. Murktide, fair. Arcane Artisan is a very, very, very powerful magic card. Cunning Wish doesn't... Well, Cunning Wish only grabs instants, drag, and Cunning Wish would not grab something exiled with Surgical Extraction. I have considered what this deck looks like playing the card Wish. Not Cunning Wish, not Burning Wish, just Wish. Yes. It is functionally a Show and Tell creature, Rancor. Yeah, like, I think it would be reasonable. I think that, like, something here has to be cuttable. And, like, maybe it's a Borrower? Wished also does not get it from exile. Specifically outside of the game, no. Karn specifically mentions exile. Whereas a lot of these cards specifically reference outside the game. And now exile is a game zone. So, you need, again, something... There aren't very many effects that specifically pull from exile like Karn does. You've got things like, what is it? Coax from the Blind Eternities, I think, does? Extra W there, but we got there. Yeah. So, like, for example, Coax from the Blind Eternities lets us grab an Eldrazi from exile. So if somehow opponent exiled our Emrakuls, we could go ahead and do that. Yeah, it's... I don't know. It's weird. But I think I want... I find it hard to want these Boseijus, to be honest. And I think in this position, I would be comfortable cutting the Boseijus from the sideboard to get a Stifle effect and an Arcane Artisan. And maybe it's just 2 Arcane Artisans, to be honest. Because a lot of decks are just going to rip their removal out of their deck against us. Mist Hollow Griffin. Yeah. So, like, exactly. Where Mist Hollow specifically mentions from exile, not outside the game. That is an important distinction. But yeah, I will probably riff on this deck some more. I think this deck is very, very powerful. I think that we lost a match because of a misclick. And I think that last match is definitely winnable. I think there was, I got a little unlucky. I think opponent played very, very well to navigate it the way they did. So a combination of the two things results in rough. I don't know. That's the way the list came out. I'm gonna venture a guess it's in concern for your life total, if I'm being honest. Because again, your life total is a valuable resource against some of these decks. Like, I was very quick to cut Thoughtseizes versus Delver, but I will keep a Duress. Because my life total is under constant pressure from Delver. Any good Delver pilot should be slamming threats as fast as possible and just trying to kill me, because if we go long, I will more often than not win those games. Which is exactly why in that Delver match, I was like, okay, we just wait this out. Opponent kept a reactive hand. We'll fish for defense grid. Like, we unfortunately got a little unlucky and never found it. But, yeah, again, like, Duress, I think, is a nod to the fact that your life total is so valuable. I mean, maybe Tutor hits anything. Right? Like, Tutor, this is Demonic Tutor. Like, straight up. It doesn't care. This is just Demonic Tutor. When we have an Omniscience in play, this is, please cast free Demonic Tutor. Find literally anything you want. And that's kind of the beauty of it, is that we can use it to back up the combo. We can use it to find the combo. Yep, I will. So normally against Delver, I will cut the Thoughtseizes and board in 2 defense grids and the 1 Flusterstorm. Yep. Duress is just a card that lets me see what's up. It lets me know what I've got to play around. So if I see that opponent has Daze, I can, like, take a Force of Will or something instead, and then just consciously know that I have to play around Daze. If opponent has a Red Blast, I can take that instead. Right? It lets me know what kind of lines I need to engineer to beat what's going on, and it doesn't cost me life like Thoughtseize does. So that's usually my sideboard plan versus Delver, is -3 Thoughtseize, +1 Flusterstorm, +2 defense grid. So that's kind of how that works. Again, the Besejus are the cards that, like, I have boarded them in occasionally. I've even boarded them in against Delver, just to tax their resources, depending on how your Delver pilot plays. My previous Delver opponent, had I known, if we were going to go to a game 3, right? If I won game 1, and then we went to a game 2 like that, where they were trying to fight entirely on the stack, I would probably board in Beseju. Just because it shows me that opponent wants to try to play this game, and if I put in a Beseju and go ahead and cast a Show and Tell, like, they're gonna die. And that's great for me. So, yeah, that's kind of where that's at. But, again, tell you what. Right now, we have the ability. So let's go ahead. Nope, I just want to open this chest, please. Let's open one of these chests. Urborg's rad. Core Claw. 5 play points? Sure. So there we go. Anybody in chat know what Urborg goes for online these days? I don't think that MTG Bot does pricing, but all the same, that's pretty rad. So, sweet. Oh, it does. Rad. Thank you, Runcor. This specifically was... This is the Plane Chaser board. Or the Planar Chaoser board. I'm Spiral. It's basically all junk. Cool. Great. Good to know. Well, all the same, it's a card that I now own. Neat. Alright, everybody, thank you for joining. I am going to wrap it up here. I will be back again Thursday night, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Not sure what we're playing yet. We'll find out. So, yeah, if you like what you see here, please feel free to give a follow. Again, I'm usually live at least 2 nights a week, usually Tuesdays and Thursdays. Today was a little early one because I ended up off work, surprised. So, cool. And again, if you really like what you see, you can go ahead and do what Mr. Russell Mishler did earlier today, and go ahead and subscribe. Your donations are greatly appreciated. If you have Bezos bucks, a la Twitch Prime through Amazon Prime, those are greatly appreciated. Currently working on fleshing out the channel a little more. I need a layout revamp now that I'm no longer featuring a team logo in the bottom in my banner there. Additionally, I want to work on some emotes and things like that, and all of that costs money. And while I absolutely love doing this for all of you, I'm not made of money. Surprise. I'm made of meat like everyone else. Roncore, thank you. I appreciate that. Again, thank you everyone for joining. I'll see you again Thursday. Cheers.